Now, as you know, the rules of our game haven't changed. We want to carry out discussions which will be objective, open-minded, and with due respect to all parties. In question, we want to avoid mentioning actual names and making direct references as much as possible to subjects. We do not want to use this medium to settle personal scores. And we want to keep in mind our goal, that is to carry out a discussion which will generate recommendations towards improving our spiritual and church community life. On this note, I want to say once again, welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you. Welcome.
All right. Now, let me start by asking a question directly. What do we think are some of the key issues confronting the Christian church when it comes to evangelizing the continent, as a continent of Europe? Earlier, one of panelists was suggesting to bring another question first, but well, let me just go, according to this order. We might find a way to, connect things. All right. So, what do you think, gentlemen, are the key issues confronting the Christian church today? We know in Europe, the church has been declining in its growth. A lot of issues are responsible for that. I was reading an article which was written about Pope John Paul, Pope Benedict, and he was talking about his view on this topic. And so it's a subject that not only concerns us, who are not really, in the top hierarchy of the church, so to speak, if you talk about the larger denominations, but it's a global question which is confronting us today. Now, so gentlemen, the ball is in your court. What are some of the key issues confronting the Christian church when it comes to the declining numbers? Who's going to break the ice?
The one on my right.
Okay.
God.
What is it?
You are casting the stone. You are the one who is casting the stone, so you just begin.
Okay, then I will take the upon myself. Before, just as my elder brother in the ministry had just ordained me to just start the program, I will just go ahead. But before that, I will just remind the listeners where we left off last time and where we are going to start building from.
Wonderful.
Last time we were together with Reverend Father, and today we are blessed to have Reverend Elias here, and we hope it will be an interesting and, more importantly, educating to our dear listeners. Last time we started by finding out what is the approach of the Christian towards evangelism, and I believe that was just the introduction. Yes. And by the introduction, one thing that is most important, that we all saw the need for us to evangelize, even as the Bible cautions us. Yes. No matter, it doesn't matter whether you are Orthodox or from the Protestant or the evangelism. That view we all agreed that it is upon us. It is just as the Bible says. Yes. When you read about the Great Commission, just as we all know. So it is important. And we went further by finding out what is our approach, by even trying to compare ourselves to other religion, let me put it in that way, to other sects of the spiritual distance. And we find out that it is good that we find out the new approaches which will meet the new challenges in this world, so that we can meet this goal. But to begin with, just as you have made mention of that, what are some of the key issues confronting the Christian church when it comes to evangelizing Europeans? You know, when we talk about community, the first unit of community is the home. The first unit of community is home. And I believe if all the Christians in Europe, I just want to start from the basis, if all the Christian families in Europe, together with our children and the whole people in our household, we were able to communicate the gospel so that we all become believers, it will also be a step forward for the church growing. And so what I would like to say here is, we being the Christian, because it is often found in the Muslim community, that sometimes it's hardly impossible for someone to be a father and mother and leave the children to go their own way, but they do all their best to convince and also help the children to believe what they believe in. And so I would say that today, one of the approaches we the Christians we must take, and also maybe some of us might not be competent in that, so far as we have come to believe that Christianity will help us and it is good, then we must do our best, just as it happened to Cornelius, that when he was converted, it was not only him but his whole household.
Okay, let me spring in here. Well, let me spring in here, just so we can, because we are 3 now, so I want us to have a chance to go as far as possible. So, in a nutshell, what you're saying is that the family unit has a responsibility
to evangelize
people within. Wonderful, thank you for that awesome approach. Okay, Pastor Elias, you want to spring in?
Well, thank you very much, Apostle. And I believe since Christianity has got a history, perhaps this issue might not be just only yesterday which started to become a problem. There might be a history to that. And for sure, we need probably a very thorough research for this to be able to give a very accurate answer. But I believe where Pastor Isaac has started is one of the best key issues that we can begin from. Because the church started with community, and community has got to do with families. So the very moment the family unity is not together anymore, then of course it's going to affect the other side.
So are you suggesting that the family unit in Christian households, they're not really, on the global scale, are not really together?
That is where
compared with the other religions, like the Muslims, for example, who we know are growing faster than the Christian church.
Absolutely, Apostle. Why? Because nowadays, here in Holland, for example, and Amsterdam to be specific, most of our churches, when you go in there, I mean the indigenous churches, you find only the old people. The old people, when I say old people, people who are just maybe from 50 and above. And it's hardly to find most of the youngsters in our churches today.
Did you see African churches or the traditional churches?
I mean the indigenous churches.
Like
and even it's affecting the migrant churches as well, because our children are saying, the church is side, the church is that. And nowadays, if you tell them to come to church, that is the song that almost all of the youth are singing. So it tells you the need for us to be able to be solid with our faith in order to be able to bring up our children. To take over when we are not there. So the problem is we can't just go outside to evangelize whereby our homes are not solid. So I agree with Pastor Isaac from his point that the evangelization must start with us. As there is a usual saying, charity begins at home. You are not organized in your home. As the Bible says, if somebody wants to take upon him or herself the leadership, it's supposed to be somebody who is well qualified, who is organized, who is given all the qualities. So I agree with what Pastor Isaac is saying.
Let's hold it right there. Now, let's read the Catholic priests.
Well, we have just a point to add to what my colleague said. Just said. Because the basic question was, what are some of the key issues?
Bring a microphone closer.
What are some of the key issues that the church Christian community is facing today in terms of evangelization? I think one of the basic problems is we want to evangelize in the olden form, fashion. We want to go back in the old way of evangelizing. Which, in my humble opinion, may not work if we want to go back to the old way of evangelizing.
What is the old fashion?
The old fashion presents a view of the magical the magical occurrences of things. You pray and this will happen. Sorry, this is never going to happen. If it were so, Africa would have been more developed because we shout and pray a lot. It's never going to happen. And that's one of the key problems we have back at home. You pray, you say, I want this to happen. Sorry, sit there, it's not going to happen. If you want this to happen, you got to take practical steps. God is going to answer prayer through the practical steps. So, those forms of evangelization, which people realize it's not really working. In fact, they were there before. Okay? So, now, secondly,
you're raising a very curious point. Can you explain what you mean by the magical?
He has explained it, like praying and then you just pray without doing anything. So what he's trying to say is you pray and you buttress it.
My point is, when did it ever happen that people did that and they got results, and now we are doing it, we can't get results? I just want to be clear about that.
But
did it ever happen?
Europe that you see developed today is built up like this because of a reaction against the system. That system is called the Renaissance, if you've heard of the Renaissance.
Yeah, Renaissance, yes.
Renaissance was a build-up against this magical way of preaching, this magical way of Christians. And it was stable, as if everything was sacred, nothing was unchanged, it was changing.
Yeah.
So when the development of science and technology started coming in, and we're talking far back into the time of Galileo, time of Newton, and all those people came, they realized that no, things were not stable as the church taught. They realized that, for example, sicknesses did not happen as a punishment from God. It's a lie. Now, for example, if you have cholera, it's not punishment from God. It's simply because you decided to take care of your environment or something. Yeah, it happened. So they begin to see the cause and effect of things. And meanwhile, the church was preaching that before as something which was static, which was coming from God.
Yeah.
So, and they thought that you could pray and those sicknesses could go.
Yeah.
But they realized later on that no, you could pray and pray and pray, you die. That's going to happen. So, I don't want to go too deep, but in a nutshell, that way of, this thing, it's never going to come back. So that is what I meant by that.
So you were saying that they were using sort of superstitious beliefs.
Yeah.
In the course of their evangelism, and that really promoted the growth of the church in those days. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, they had a worldview.
They had that worldview.
Yeah.
Now, so how does that line up with what we read in the Bible, what Jesus himself did? Is it that the principles he taught about praying for all things, or even praying for the sick, anointing the sick, and those things, is it that those things no more work in our present day?
So let me just give you an example.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I wouldn't say those things no more work, but let me set an example. If just simple praying were enough to cure all sicknesses, it would have gone to the hospital, all the pastors would have gone to the hospital to pray for all the people having cancer to get cured. They would have been dying. Let's face practicalities. It's never going to work. If it were working, they would have prayed for the revelation for the cure of AIDS or all the other sicknesses that we are battling with. It has never happened. Let's face practicalities.
All right. Now, I will allow you to go further.
Yeah.
Just hold it right there. Now, why the gentleman sitting next to you to react to what you say? Because,
no, but can I just add one point before we go? Okay, the second point is why the problem with the church is some of the problems, okay?
Yeah.
I think also is our way of looking at certain issues. For example, I heard on the radio station, radio program last time, a pastor was preaching against the use of jewelry. Sorry.
Yes.
You preach like this, that the use of jewelry is demonic and all that.
Wow.
Please, where are we going to? And we know it's not true. So, these are some of the problems, challenges we are facing. Anybody who hears it may not anybody, but a good number of people who hear this may never get attracted.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, gentlemen, I have not really gotten the conviction that we are dealing with the root of the problem, the reason why the church is not expanding the way it should be. I think there must be more serious issues than that. Yeah. I appreciate the talk so far, but gentlemen, let's work harder. Yeah. Okay, you want to react to the points he's made?
Yeah, I want to react.
Okay, take the microphone if you want to. Just give one of the microphones.
No, it's okay.
Yeah. Yes, go ahead.
I think, my name is Apostle Heli Rutokin. To me, I believe that one of the reasons why we are not expanding or we are not reaching globally Europe through our evangelism could be the reason, the fact that the church of today, not only that we are not evangelizing or trying to make our families to come to the Lord, but the fact is that some of the power that was with the church of the early church is like it's not with us now, because the scriptures have been watered down. So the miracles we saw in the past, we are not really experiencing them the way we read in the Bible. Because if the church is meeting the needs of the society, meeting the needs of the people will crave naturally to come to God. So when we look at what happened during the days of the apostles, during the days of Jesus Christ, even the shadows of the apostles were healing the sick. Their handkerchiefs were healing the sick. They were preaching the message of austerity. So they were not like these Hollywood style preachers who do not spend time in God's presence. But these were men and women who lived an ostracized, who lived a life of austerity. I'm not saying that living a life of austerity is the best, but at least what they preached, making sacrifices to study the word and to practicalize the word. You see the manifestation of the word in the life of the people. Demons were living and the sick were being healed. The church was catering for the needs of the people. The church catered for the needs of the people. The church hospitalized the people, who were able to build hospitals for the masses. The church built school for the masses. The church provided every single thing that the community needed. The church provided. But in this modern day, it's like the church is not doing any of those things. So the people are doing those things by themselves. So they see no reason why they have to be in church. So if the church will regain its time by providing all of these amenities, taking care of the old, taking care of the youth, taking care of the poor, taking care of all of, I believe that it can regain its time.
Okay. Yeah, Edwin.
Yeah, I think what the Apostle Dr. Nim, just the point she made is very, very important. Look, the church is not meeting the needs of the people. Now, coupled with what she said, I would also say, look, if we talk about the needs of the people, what are the needs of the people? First of all, but the church was building those schools because the church was attached to the state. That's one thing we should realize at that time. So the church was doing that, executing that in the name of the state. That's most of the things that we had because of that. Now, but then, if the church wants to meet the needs of people, then the church should be the first to discover. For example, some few weeks ago, they discovered that some small improvement in cancer, for cure for cancer. Yeah. Then the church should be the first to develop that. Then that's where the people come back. The church should say, okay, a reverend pastor or somebody who is a scientist, applies his science and prayer and he discovers this, then people will come back. But as long as none of us is able to do that, sorry, we are not meeting the needs of the people.
Okay.
If the church is not, we are not.
No, we don't need to develop it through science or whatever. No, it's by power of prayer.
Okay, but Reverend, look, this power of prayer I'm talking about. Sorry, but why is it that all these years it's not happening? Let's face reality. God answers our prayers, but I think we are using the wrong method in the application of this thing. I don't believe in this. It's going to happen. It's not happening. So let's not be illusory about it.
Okay, good. Let's hear quickly the gentleman Brother Alf, and then speak, and then I'll let the other two ministers have their say.
Okay, my name is Alf Demekpor. I'm just visiting shortly, and I'll be leaving shortly, and I thought I'd add my few cents to the discussion. I partially agree with most of the speakers that have presented here. But I think we have a fundamental difference in understanding of our Christian faith.
That's right.
Basically, Christianity is love. And we have to portray that love. If we do not portray that love in whatever field we are, whether it's in primary school, in rocket science, in medical breakthroughs, we have a fundamental problem. We as a church, we as so-called Christians, we get up, we go to work, we want to feed ourselves, put a roof over our head. There's nothing wrong with that. We're talking about magic. No, we're talking about miracles, actually, because that's what Christ did.
Yeah.
Those things are not happening today. Why? Christ said love first. Fundamentally, in my opinion, the difference, and I think Africa, even in Africa, we've got it wrong to a certain degree, because we don't put, as Reverend Edmund says, the practicalities into our prayers. We pray, yes, but there's a time to do something. In Europe, in Africa we see the miracles. In Europe, we don't see the miracles because we don't have the faith to see the miracles. In Europe, it's a different kind of evangelism, and I think this is where we're supposed to be evangelizing in Europe, and this was the fundamental question that we're asking. We need to show love. If you listen, if you observe this society, at least in my minuscule view of things that I've seen and observed in terms of the customs of the West, in the States, in Britain, in Holland, in France, wherever I've been, and in Africa, where I've lived for 13 or so years, there is a fundamental difference. Love in Europe is the key. You listen to all the songs that the so-called non-Christian sings, they're based on love. Listen, I challenge anyone today to look at to listen to the songs on the radio, and if they're not based on, excuse my saying so, sex, where there's a fundamental need for people to be wanted, and they feel that this is a way in to be wanted, it's based on love. Just give me a reason, for instance, is one of those songs by Pink. Just give me a reason. Just a little bit's enough. These are the fundamentals. Are we showing that love? How are we showing that love? As a church, as individuals in the church. What do we do? Yes, we can talk about our families, but it's the same love that we need to show to our families. What do we define as love? Do we know what love is? Do we know, as Christians, what love is?
Okay,
that is my question.
Yeah, let me explain here. Is there any doubt that the church is not showing love, or for that matter, let's take people in general are not showing enough love? Is there a reason why we are not making the impact we desire to make as Christians? Well, I do appreciate that point, though. It's relevant, but is that the core reason why the church has not made much progress in terms of growth?
Also,
it should have, yeah.
I think we may deviate from our main topic when we just shifted to that very
angle.
That's right, because he's talking about the different subjects now, love, but probably it's his contribution to the fact that now the church is not growing, or maybe evangelization is not, having an impact because we lack love. Probably that is his view. And so, in order not to deviate from this very subject, then maybe let us try to look to the issues, because it's part of what he's saying. Because coming to you to evangelize to you, and I see that there is no love or that kind of thing, but you are coming with a different kind of colors. I believe it may not have an impact. But now the main problem is, you see, I saw a contradiction between Apostle Ruth and my most Reverend Edmund. That Mama is talking about miracles not happening in our day, and Pastor also is talking about something that's right. Science and all those.
Not enough.
You see, that was the main reason why I made an illustration by saying this thing probably did not begin yesterday. It has maybe a long-term effect, and we need a thorough maybe research to be able to have the most key issues concerning this issue, because these miracles that we've been talking about, I've been watching some of the evangelists who have been here in Holland maybe years back, and in their gatherings you see people being healed from all kind of sickness and diseases. And nowadays, if somebody is having tuberculosis, because of our understanding, our knowledge, the person will not go to the church for healing. Definitely you go to the hospital because they have a medicine for that. You understand? So what we believe in the olden days as a result of not having medicine or maybe not having cure for, we were believing God for supernatural healing. Nowadays, when you talk about supernatural, people have problem about that. So I believe the key issues to my understanding, as Pastor Isaac just rightly said, our homes. Charity begins at homes. You see, there is enough that divorce and people are just going away, and the norms and our belief system is just being disintegrated. And how can we just go outside there to evangelize to other people? Because nowadays our homes, there is no cohesion, and people are just going out from the faith. And the children that we have to teach them and bring them up also are also not following the same way.
I got to differ a little bit in the sense that I believe as long as human beings have been on the planet, some of these basic issues we grapple with today, divorce, breakup of family, and rebellion, and things like that, have been a part of our human nature for as long as we have lived. So I don't know whether this alone has a direct impact on the growth of the church.
It's a contribution, I think so.
Yeah,
because our homes, you see, now, yesterday at church service, I had a visitor from Utrecht, a young lady who is doing a master's, and she said she's a humanist. And she wants to do some research. And when she came in there, she said, well, she has seen the people here with a very smiling face, and it looks as if all the people in the church are very happy. Unlike when her mother used to bring her to Catholic, when they go there, you don't see the smiling face and all these things. And she's been surprised to see this among us. But for her, she's not going to church anymore, but she's surprised to see that thing happening with us. What is it now? The mother is not going to church anymore, and the daughter is also not going to church anymore, and there's a possibility the father is also not going to church anymore. So there is a vacuum. We're talking about, and this issue is happening not with one family, but most of us. You understand? So if the homes are not even in order, how can we bring this orderliness?
All right, that's what they're right there. Before Brother Al leaves here, let me just quote something from Pope Benedict XVI, who just retired, retired.
Or resigned. He resigned.
Now, he had such a strong desire and passion for evangelizing Europe. I want you to know that the concern for this matter has been, has been in such high quarters that people have devoted a lot of time and thought to dealing with the problem. So I don't know whether we have to do any special research, but there must be something really going on. Let me see if I can take this call.
But knowledge is also not a solution.
Good morning. Yes, sir. But speak, you may not mention your name. If you are contributing to this topic, you can just speak without mentioning your name. You want to do that? Then go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes.
So,
Truth. The truth.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Spoke the truth.
Yeah.
So right now, I'm saying, somebody has been my wife. I'm sick right now with my son of 1.5 years old. And they are all living in the practice in the church. Everybody is there. And this person is attending church every Sunday, going all night to the whole thing. And nobody is talking about it.
Wow. That is not good.
Look, what is going on in the world? There's no truth. I'm not every single morning I listen to this program. I'm living right over my one and a half years old. Even a couple of weeks in the chapel because of the man to the church of God.
Wow. Wow. So are you still going to church or you stop because of your experience?
Because it should be a stupid of me to go to church many times while a pastor is preaching stupidity to somebody. All will be well, all will be well. While this woman is
Well, I want to say I'm sorry for what happened to you, and hopefully you recover. But I don't believe all pastors are liars, and that everybody is not speaking the truth. It's unfortunate that happened, but I pray that very soon things will be rectified by the grace of God for you. Keep listening, sir. Okay, you want to react to what you just said? It's unfortunate. But you think that's really the reason why the church is not going? That pastors are not speaking the truth?
Absolutely not.
As for me, by the grace of God, I determined to do my best to speak the truth.
Absolutely.
I have no business carrying the Bible.
Probably he's talking about
I may
his
not be
experience.
perfect, but I have decided to do my best to speak the truth. Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to react to our recent caller and pick up from there to react to, because you gave us a chance to react to.
Yes.
You know, let me, you know, when he was talking, there is a picture which came into my mind.
Yes.
That, for instance, Apostle, if someone just come and take your shirt, your clothes, go on the street and do something which is wrong, and he is caught, and they bring someone come to you, oh, I saw you doing something wrong, and you just say, oh, that wasn't me. Or after investigation, we come to realize that it was not Pastor Apostle Larry who went and stole something, but it is discovered someone stole your identity, went out there and misbehaved or did something wrong. You know, that's one thing that sometimes when we are talking about evangelism, and at this point I want to bring in here, because we are not talking about, well, it is true that the way we as the messengers, the way we put up our behavior, I'm talking about maybe the point what he has experienced, so to speak. And because one thing that we have to be very, very sure is what the truth or our actions and everything that we do must be based on what is said in the Word of God. But not that, well, I've seen someone doing this and therefore we do to water down or not to accept the truth or the power of the Word of God. You know, these are some of the things when I hear people who have experienced that one, I just want to pick up. And when Reverend Father was talking about, well, the Renaissance, because of our time, I don't want to go there. But what I believe, the main cause or what actually has resulted to the state of the Christian faith in the Europe is the people were not given the chance for them to know the truth by themselves. Because Reverend Father is here. If I am wrong, that is what I have heard.
In the beginning.
It was not even during the sermon or during the mass. It was not even allowed for the congregants to open the Bible to see what is in it.
Even till now.
even
they call them
only
lay
the Catholic
readers.
priest was to tell them
Yes.
was to open the Bible. They were only to do the listening.
Yeah,
There
exactly.
was not opportunity for them to go and search the scriptures
Till now.
and know. And even when you consider it, that
Yes.
is what happened to John Wesley, because when he John Wesley, am I saying
Martin
John Wesley? Yeah, when he found out the truth by himself, and he just said, "Oh, then I found out that all the things that we have been doing is not according to what is in the Word." And so when we are considering all these things, it boils up to the point that, you know, when we talk about evangelism, the message that comes into my mind, or when we are to evangelize, the message that comes to my mind is Apostle Peter.
Yeah.
When the power came upon me, he stood up. He
Yes.
just gave them the simple word, the Jesus whom you rejected, he is the one to save. And when after he has finished giving that simple truth, the God will, just as he has said, he will fulfill his word with signs and wonders. And people coming to believe is part of the signs and wonders.
Yes.
And so I believe the approach, you know, I'm going the next approach, the second point, when we are considering the approach to evangelism, is to believe the word, present the simple truth, and see God working, fulfilling his word in the lives of the people.
Well, I think I buy to what this
Can
man,
can
that
I
was
just
what the
say,
caller was trying to
last
say.
Caller, I need to make this point. I think one of the panelists here just gave a very good hint. I want to give this message to the last caller, please. If you don't mind, give us a call later. Give me a call later on 0684 606 550, or send me an email to voiceofnaija@live.com. I want to really see if I can spring into your situation and somehow facilitate something, because I know you are hurt. You're really hurt. That is not the gospel. That is not the way church ought to operate. There's a mistake which happened, and I think we want to be of a service, if possible, to help resolve this thing. Please. So if you don't mind, you're welcome to give us a call after the program or whatever, and then let's see what we can do by the grace of God. Thank you very much. Yes, who wanted to say something?
It's okay.
Okay.
Please, just to make a comment. You know, first of all, going back to my dear colleague, Pastor Elias. Yes, Pastor Elias. No, when he talked about just a few minutes ago about sicknesses that people were getting healed.
Yeah.
You know, those. But statistically, people were dying in the past, despite all their faith, than now. That's one thing you should know. It's a fact. People were dying of sicknesses terribly than in spite of their fact. I'm not saying God doesn't listen to our prayers. All I'm saying is that we are applying the methods which are not the ways of God. God not just want us to just pray and expect things to happen.
Hold on one sec. Let's see if we can. Hello.
Yeah.
Good morning, caller. Yeah, good morning, sir.
Let him raise his voice. We are not hearing him.
Yeah, can you raise your voice a little bit, sir? Yes, sir. Oh, Pastor Chris, how are you? Please go ahead. Let's hear you. Mm-hmm. The question was, what are the issues hindering the church from expanding in Europe? What are the main issues? And all this things began to come up, you know. So right now we're going to sort it out. But if you can give us your take on that, it would be very, very nice.
Nobody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What are the message? Yeah.
Increase it. Increase it. Yes. All of them.
Used.
Try the other one too. Nee.
But you know what? I agree with you. But you look at this on a global scale. All of us cannot be wrong at the same time. Now I don't suppose that everybody is doing it. I mean, like the way presenting the truth or the gospel the way Jesus did.
Yes.
So some must be doing it right. Or don't you agree with me? So what about those who are doing it right? Should not the impact be felt? Because if you look at it on a global scale, on a large scale, we are not making the strides we're supposed to make. So is it that all of us
the other one
are not doing it well the way Jesus did it? So I really agree with you.
But there are three.
Look at it on a more global level. Do you think that will be the main problem?
It's three. Look, it's three. Look, it's three. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
3, 4. Try the other one. The other knot.
With this one.
No, the under. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, gentlemen, listen to what he's saying. Yeah. If you talk about culture now, and this is what took us to some of the things we're talking about, because last time we admitted the fact that in Africa and in South America, the church is really growing fast. And so the Reverend Father was saying, yeah, it's because they don't know what people in Europe know. They are still like a bit, backward. So they are still believing by faith and believe everything, believing the miracles. And so that the church is growing there much more than here. And I believe it's the same message that is being preached. So why the difference we see? So can we repeat the miracles? Of church growth, the way it's happening in South America and Africa over here? If we cannot, then what ought to change? So there are some dynamics at play here which we really must look at carefully if we have to change. Yes, go ahead. No, I'm talking about not physical miracle, but the growth, the expansion we're talking about. Uh-huh. In Africa. Adapt. Okay, now very, very well said. Now my question to you is, what needs to be adapted for it to happen? That's what we want to hear. Because we have been analyzing the whole thing now, but tell us what ought to be adapted here for us for this to work. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. With anger, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're here. Okay. Mm. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Thank you. God bless you. Please keep listening. Well, you know, that is his perspective. Okay, I think we are right out of time now. But then, you want to react to what he said?
No, I don't want to react to what he said. But all that he said is something we analyzed already. He said we should go into the history. We talked about history last time when I was with him. And if he just wants to know a short line about it, look, the people were joining. What happened? They were oppressed by they were being oppressed by the Romans at the time. The Christians were projecting a message of love, a message of coming together, solidarity. People got attracted into it. Even though they were persecuted, they realized that the love was working for them. What happened? After that, we realized how Emperor Constantine, after his victory, he employed the church. I mean, he accepted the church and it helped them to grow. So that is a short, story about the whole thing. Now, then what happened? That's what I explained at the beginning. Because the church was now making all sorts of doctrines about sicknesses that are like they are punishment from God and all that. But when there were developments that came up, people discovered that it is not true. I mean, it was our own doings that were causing it. And with our brains, we can cure those sicknesses and all that. That is what is happening. And that is what has happened to the church up to now. People realize that, look, the things that we claim were just coming from God, boom, from heaven, is not true. That we can manipulate them. That he has given us these brains to use them for it. And that's what has caused, in my humble opinion, this big change. And that's why I mentioned shortly about the Renaissance. They reacted to it more. So that is it. So just up to our dear caller. But then, one point I would like us to make this. Let us not confuse the presence of church with the presence of God. God is not always present in our structures. Look at the situation the caller before described. If I heard him well, maybe I'm mistaken, but the volume was very low. I think there was a pastor who was involved in their separation or something.
The pastor didn't do anything about it.
Pastor didn't do anything about it.
Okay. What happened.
But there was a Christian. There was somebody who was there, who did it. I mean, part of the church. So tell me that there's God in that structure. But that same person, as he said, goes to church regularly. So in other words, what I want to point, let us not confuse our structures with the presence of God. In other words, somebody can be there who is not going to church, but is still very godly than the one who goes to church or who is being a priest like
you guys have to open your mouth.
So let's not confuse that. That's what I want to say. This is almost time. I'll give you.
Let's take a short break, then we'll come back to finish. Okay? I think.